Sometimes, after a very long wait, a person finally receives a judgment. When you open the envelope and see the decision, you feel a sense of relief. At last, the matter has an answer. Who was right? Who was wrong? Who had the legal right, and who was responsible? On paper, the system has spoken. After reading the judgment, you may tell yourself, it is finally over. But does real life stop at the final page of a judgment? The money may still be unpaid. The property may still not have been returned. The damage may still be unrepaired. The bills may still be growing. There are still phone calls to make, and yet another form to complete. And so, a case that appears to be over begins another period of waiting in the real world. An ending on paper is not always an ending in life. Many people assume that a judgment is the finish line. That is understandable. The word judgment carries weight. It feels as though the system has finally stepped forward and said, we have examined what happened. We have heard the evidence. And now, we have made a decision. But after receiving that decision, you may discover that a new set of questions has only just begun. Will the other party comply? When will they comply? If they do not, what are you supposed to do next? Do you have to apply for enforcement? Will there be another fee? How much longer will you have to wait? The feeling is difficult to describe. You have one, but you do not feel free of the problem. You have received an answer, but reality has not changed. Sometimes, you win a piece of paper without winning back your life. You call an office to ask what happens next. First, an automated voice answers. Please select your language. Press 1. Press 2. Please listen carefully to the following options. After working your way through the menu, you hear another familiar message. We are currently experiencing a higher than normal call volume. Please continue to hold. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. The phone is on speaker. The judgment lies on the table beside it. The system has already confirmed that you were right, yet you are still explaining, to one person after another, that the matter is not over. This is what truly exhausts many ordinary people. It is not that they reject the judgment. It is not that they refuse to follow the process. It is that, even after the process delivers an answer, life continues to charge them for the unresolved problem. The cost of time. The cost of money. The cost of energy. And the anxiety of not knowing how much longer it will continue. At this point, we need to distinguish between two things. The primary role of a court or tribunal is to determine legal rights and responsibilities. Does the evidence support the claim? How should the agreement be interpreted? Who has the legal right, and who bears responsibility? These decisions matter enormously. Without such a process, anyone could declare themselves right and punish someone else according to their own anger. That would not be justice. It would be chaos. So I am not saying that judgments are meaningless. Quite the opposite. Judgments matter. Evidence matters. Due process matters. But a judgment establishes a right. Enforcement brings that right into the real world. A judgment is not the end. Enforcement is also part of justice. To an institution, an application, a hearing, a judgment, and enforcement may belong to different departments, different procedures, and different stages. But to the person living through it, everything from the original problem to the moment the loss finally stops is one continuous experience. People do not live their lives in separate administrative folders. An institution may say, the document has been issued. The judgment has been delivered. The case has been processed. But the ordinary person asks, has my problem been solved? Has my loss stopped? How much longer do I have to wait? Many institutions publish statistics. How many cases they received in a year? How many hearings they held? How many judgments they issued? Those numbers matter. They show that people are working, cases are moving, and procedures are functioning. But other numbers matter to the public as well. After judgment, how many decisions were actually carried out? On average, how long did it take for a decision to become reality? How much more did the people involved have to pay? How many had to file another application, join another queue, and begin another wait? If those things are not visible, we may be looking at only half of the report card. When a system measures only completed procedures, it may fail to see unresolved outcomes. And time is not empty. While someone waits, rental cycles continue, bills come due, damage may grow worse, and life does not pause. The system may still be processing the past while the next deadline has already arrived. When an answer comes too late, time slowly eats away at its value. But to be fair, enforcement is never simple. Some people genuinely have no assets. Some cases are extremely complicated. Some delays exist to protect the rights of both sides and to prevent mistakes or wrongful action. And sometimes, the institution that issues a judgment is not the institution responsible for enforcing it. So we cannot simply say that every judgment that is not immediately enforced represents a failure by the court. Speed alone can also create injustice. The process may be exhausting, but it also prevents the powerful from simply crushing the weak. It prevents one person's anger from automatically becoming another person's punishment. Those protections matter. Counting judgments alone gives us an incomplete picture. But judging a system only by its enforcement rate may also be unfair. The real question is not whether procedure should exist. The real question is whether, after the procedure is complete, the system can still see the consequences that remain. If someone has no money, a monetary judgment may be extremely difficult to enforce. That may explain why enforcement is difficult. But it does not make the loss disappear. The cost remains. It has simply been transferred. It may fall on the other party. It may fall on a family member, a landlord, or a taxpayer. It may be transferred to a hospital, a shelter, the police, or another public system. A procedure may end, but the cost does not vanish with it. So a mature system cannot ask only, "Did we issue a judgment?" It must also ask, "What happened after the judgment? Who is still carrying the cost? Has the loss actually stopped? And if it has not, whose responsibility comes next?" Ordinary people do not need a beautiful flowchart. They need the problem to actually stop. Of course, some problems can never be completely repaired. Some losses have already occurred. Some relationships have already broken down. Some money may never be recovered. And some human hardship cannot be solved by a judgment alone. No system can guarantee that everyone will be satisfied. But a system should at least distinguish honestly between two statements. The procedure is complete. The problem is solved. Those are not the same statement. When an institution says that a case has been processed, an ordinary person may still be asking, "When will my life return to normal?" When the statistics look impressive, that person may still be asking, "Do those numbers include my time? Do they include my costs? Do they include all the months I spent waiting?" It is precisely because law and due process matter that we must ask, what remains after the procedure is over? After the judgment, was justice actually done? Sometimes, the answer is yes. A judgment is issued. The other party complies. The problem ends. But sometimes, the judgment arrives, the case ends on paper, and the losses continue in the real world. Only when a judgment enters reality and changes reality does it become more than a piece of paper to the person who waited for it. And if a judgment does not always mean that the problem has been solved, then in the next episode, we must ask an even larger question. Why does completing the procedure not always mean solving the problem?